بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين أما بعد السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته. Question says, هل وجوب الحج على الفور أم على التراخي مدة العمر? With regards to the obligation of Hajj, is it something which is immediate, or does a person have the ability to perform the Hajj with the intention to make Hajj and to go for Hajj as long as he's alive? Meaning no big rush. As soon as I get the money, as soon as I have the physical ability to do it, I have to do it, or can I wait 3 years, 5 years? Can I maneuver my money, manage my money? I have the money, I have the health, I have the ability to go, but I'm going to take care of my son's college or my daughter's tuition, or pay for this house the way I won't have to deal with mortgage, or whatever the case may be. The answer says, من العلماء من ذهب إلى أنه واجب على التراخي يؤديه في أي عام كان ومنهم الشافعي. ومن العلماء كالهادوية من قال بأن وجوب الحج على الفور، فمن يملك الاستطاعة ولم يبادر لأداء الحج فهو آثم. والذي رجحه المؤلف أن الحج واجب على الفور، فمن دخلت عليه أشهر الحج وهو مستطيع فيجب عليه المبادرة بالسفر لأداء فريضة الحج. The Mufti, Sheikh Muhammad ibn Imran, or Sheikh Muhammad Ismail al-Umrani rahimahullah ta'ala, he says, some ulama say that Hajj is mandatory without an immediate rush. It's mandatory, but without an immediate rush. You can do it, inshallah ta'ala, when you have the ability and when you choose to do that. And from the ulama who held this view was the Shafi'i rahimahullah ta'ala and others. You can make Hajj and delay and postpone it, so on and so forth. That's what the Mufti says here. And he says in the other ulama, another view, other scholars who say that Hajj is mandatory immediately, as soon as a person becomes able, as soon as you have the ability to do it, and it's the month or the months of Hajj, as we explained, Ashhurul Hajj, the months of Hajj, then a person must do it. And he says, and this is the view and the opinion that was adopted by the author, explained in the book of Shawkani rahimahullah, Ad-Durar al-Bahiyya, which we explained much of on the channel. He held the view that it's mandatory to make Hajj immediately. As soon as a person has the ability to do it, he has to travel. Practical application of this is Hajj costs, let's say roughly a package, $8,000. And a person is going to need for the 2 weeks or 10 days, however long he plans to stay, let's say, he doesn't have to be luxurious, but to be comfortable or to have some type of guarantee and some type of assurance. Let's say he needs at minimum, $1,000 of money for coverage, basic spending. It doesn't have to be extravagant gifts, abayas and exotic oud perfumes, just basic. So he has $9,000 and he's healthy, he has a clean bill of health. His job gives him 2 weeks off whenever he wishes to take. People or someone is going to look after his house or his houses or his wife, his children, whatever, his grandmother, his sister, his aunt, etc. And it's now Shawwal or Dhul Qa'dah, etc. July, early August, and even June. And it's saying this is the last call for the payment for Hajj 2018. Based off of this fatwa, it will be mandatory for him to immediately pay for his ticket and his visa and get everything done immediately. And it wouldn't be permissible for him to take that $9,000 and invest it, in which he has the intention of making $20,000 or $25,000 in a year or 6 months or 3 months, depending on what your means of investment may be. It's impermissible for him to take that $10,000 and pay off the rest of the mortgage and get out of the mortgage with the house. It's impermissible for him to give that money for his son to get married. Well, how could that? As long as he has the ability to do it, and the time of the Hajj has come, then according to that view, he has to what? Immediately. And the first view would state, or the practical application is that he has the ability to give his son the 10,000. Son, get married. This is for your car. This is for your apartment. This is for the wedding banquet. This is for kada, kada, kada. Everybody understand this? Everybody understand this? Or any other business venture that he wants to get into. Take a trip somewhere, whatever the case may be. Tarahi. He doesn't have to do it immediately. So it's important for us to understand the technical concept and also to understand the practical application. What does that mean? Hajj is immediately or later on. Next question says, أنا لا أملك الدراهم التي تكفيني وقد بذل ابني كل ما أحتاجه فهل الحج واجب علي أم أنه غير واجب أفيدوني جزيتم أو جزيتم عني خيرا. The question says, I don't have the money to make Hajj. However, whenever I'm in need, my son takes care of me. My son spends upon me. So, if I have the ability to make Hajj through my son, and what he gives me, his support of me and maintenance of me, his charity to me, is it now mandatory for me to make Hajj? Or is it still something which isn't mandatory because I myself don't have the necessary ability, the cash flow to perform the Hajj? May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward you well on my behalf. Very important question now. A person is poor, but he has access to money as if he isn't poor. A person's poor, relatively poor, but as if he isn't relatively poor because he has what? It's nothing but a phone call away or text message, or he goes over to son's house. I need some money, son. You got it. We go to the ATM, or I'll transfer it to you, or whatever the case may be. It's under the wherever you keep your money at, huh? In the back of the refrigerator, in the special compartment, huh? Or that mayonnaise jar. Everybody understand this? So what is the rule on him making Hajj now? The author or the mufti, he says, اعلم بأن الحج غير واجب على غير المستطيع حتى يستطيع وإن الاستطاعة يجب عليه الحج فورا ولا يجب على من لا يستطيع أن يطلب من ولده نقودا لكي يتمكن بها من أداء الحج. He says, know for sure, اعلم, know for sure, as that Hajj isn't obligatory upon those who do not have the ability. It isn't obligatory until they actually have the ability. So he who has the ability to make Hajj has to do it immediately. And we benefit from this other fatwa, his view with regards to the previous question, is that it's mandatory immediately, as soon as one has the ability to do it. He says, nor is it mandatory for you to ask for money or request money from your son for you to perform the Hajj. It's not obligatory. You do not have to make Hajj even though you have the access to what? I understand that it's a very important issue now. The money is nothing but a phone call or text message away. Or the son says, whenever you need it, just go and get it. Just leave me a little bit for a cup of coffee. Huh? You go into the jar, screw the cap back on, put it back in the back of the refrigerator like nothing happened. Everybody understand this? No problem, Dad, right? Or Abby, you got it. Pops, old man, whatever the case may be. He said it is not obligatory for him to what? Ask and seek that money. It isn't obligatory. لكن إذا كان الولد قد تطوع لوالده بمؤنة الحج فأخذ منه ما يحتاجه من النقود وحج فحجه صحيح وقد أجزأه الحج وسقط الوجوب عنه. He says, however, if the son is charitable, is generous, gives him the money without him begging and asking, and he performs the Hajj therewith, then there's nothing wrong with that. And bid'nillahi ta'ala, the Hajj will be valid with that wealth. And he's no longer held responsible for performing Hajj anymore. أما أنه يجب عليه أن يطلب من ولده محتاجات الحج فلا يجب عليه هذا والله سبحانه ولي الهداية والتوفيق. He says, as for him asking for money or begging for money or requesting money, then he does not have to do that. And Allah Azza wa Jal is the guardian of guidance and divine success. Very important question, a very important answer with regards to a person not being able, being incapable, but as if he's able or capable with regards to access. And this is especially in our modern world or our modern time of what we call it, microchips and fiber optics and things like this, the electronic world when it comes to money. Oftentimes, a person has great access to money easily, simply, with a return button or, you see what I'm saying to you? It's not an issue anymore. Getting money, transferring money, or a person is a businessman. He doesn't have a lot of wealth, but he knows people. People that can loan him and send him the money, so on and so forth. So he said that you do not have to do that. And that fatwa was given by the previous mufti as well. The third and final question that we'll read, it says, ما حكم من مات ولم يحج مع أنه كان مستطيعا. What is the ruling of someone who dies without making Hajj, but he had the ability to make Hajj? But he had what? The ability. Meaning that it was a time, year in and year out, he had $10,000 saved up. 9,000 to the side. He was strong, he's physically capable. A woman had 9,000 and she had a mahram who was willing to go make Hajj or whatever the case may be. And they didn't do that. The answer says, إِذَا كَانَ مُسْتَطِيعًا فَيُحَجُّ عَنْهُ مِنْ مَالِهِ وُجُوبًا. If that person had the ability to perform Hajj, then someone must make Hajj from the wealth that they leave behind. It's mandatory for someone to take the money and what? Perform the Hajj on his behalf. وَإِنْ كَانَ قَدْ أَوْصَى بِأَنْ يَحُجُّ عَنْهُ وَنَدْبًا إِنْ لَمْ يَكُنْ قَدْ أَوْصَى بِذَلِكَ. He says that being obligatory, إِنْ كَانَ قَدْ أَوْصَى. He says if he gave, listen carefully now to the whole fatwa. He says إِذَا كَانَ مُسْتَطِيعًا فَيُحَجُّ عَنْهُ مِنْ مَالِهِ وُجُوبًا إِنْ كَانَ قَدْ أَوْصَى بِأَنْ يَحُجُّ عَنْهُ. Listen carefully. He says it's obligatory for the Hajj to be made on his behalf if that was the wasiyah in his will. When I die, perform Hajj. And he says it is recommended to perform Hajj on his behalf if that's also what he what? إِن لَمْ يَكُنْ قَدْ أَوْصَى بِذَلِكَ. No, if he didn't put it in his will. Everybody clear on this? If he didn't what? If he didn't put it on his will. So the difference that he mentions here. If he put it in his will, wajib. If he didn't put it in his will, then his relatives is what? They don't have to make Hajj on his behalf. But it is preferred. It's what? Preferred. And that obligation, why he didn't make Hajj or she didn't make Hajj, is still going to remain with them. Alright, understand this? The relatives don't have to do it unless he what? According to this fatwa of Sheikh Al-Imrani, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy upon him. Khairan, inshallah, perhaps, even though I said we want to stop there, maybe we'll just read one or two more simple ones or short ones, bismillah. Just as 3 is a sunnah, oftentimes 5 is an Islamic number as well, such as the daily prayers, and other things as well. 5 has its importance, and al-Islam what? As well. It says here, and also 5 is an odd number. It's witr as well. It says إذا حج الولد عن والده دون إيصاء منه وهو مستطيع ماديا فهل يجزئ ذلك. Whenever someone's son decides to make Hajj on behalf of their father or their parent, دون إيصال, without them advising them and telling them to do it and putting it down, and this person financially has the ability to make Hajj, is the Hajj valid? Is the what? Is the Hajj valid? The answer says, من مات ولم يحج فيحج أو فحج عنه عهد أولاده فحجة الولد عن والده مجزأة لحجز الإسلام عن الوالد لأن الولد من سعي أبيه وقد ورد النص من الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم بذلك. Anyone who dies without making Hajj, and one of his sons, one of his children makes Hajj for him on his behalf, then it will be valid, inshallah ta'ala. It will be valid. And it will suffice for the obligatory Hajj. And that's because the child, the son, min sa'i abihi. Why? Because your children are from your own sa'i, your own work, which you put forth. Your children are an extension of you. They're an extension of you. And he says, and there's hadiths from the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam to prove that. To do what? To prove that. طيب, last but not least, the last question, number 5, it says, إذا مات شخص ولم يحج فهل يجب على ورثته أن يحج عنه أم أنه مندوب فقط? Someone dies and they never made Hajj. Is it mandatory upon the relatives or those who inherit from him, his heirs, to make Hajj on his behalf? Or is it something which is just recommended? Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he says, العلماء ينصون على ندبية الحج عن الميت إذا لم يوصي ولا سيما لمن كان من أولاده وأما الوجوب فلا يجب عليهم إلا إذا أوصى ويكون إخراج أجرة من يحج عنه من الثلث. He says here, the ulama clearly say that it's recommended to perform Hajj for the one who has died without putting it in his or her will. Without putting it in his or her will, like we previously read. If they didn't put it in the will, then it's recommended for someone to come and perform Hajj on their behalf. Recommended. He says, especially if the one who's going to make Hajj is from his or her children. Especially if they're from their what? Their children. He says, as far as it being obligatory and mandatory, he says no, unless he made it and put it in his wasiyah. And the wealth, the finances, the material means of making the Hajj will be taken out of the what? He says, min ath-thuluth, from a third of his wealth. When we talk about the rules of inheritance, and we talk about the rule from one thing you learn, 10,000 things. So now we're talking about Hajj, and obviously he's dealing with another issue or aspect of fiqh, and that is, no, before that, death, janazah, inheritance, irth, and also the will. Several different concepts now. Everybody understand this? One fiqh issue takes you to another, and it branches off like that. And you have to have the ability, as a student of knowledge, to have this in your head, not from a book. You have to be able to walk around with this. Question on a train, question making tawaf, question making Hajj. Kada, boom, boom, bang. Everybody understand? It's about Allah's permission. وَلَا قُوَّةَ إِلَّا بِاللَّهِ. No strength and power except with and by and through Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He's the one who gives strength and power. So the point is that now this is talking about Hajj, but it's also taking us into the rulings and the issues of the will and the testament, the estate. So therefore, in general, to keep things brief, when a person puts something in his will of material possessions, then the ulama, they say that it's best not to exceed a third of one's wealth. It's best not to exceed a third of one's wealth. So let's say, for example, you have $30,000 and you want to put someone in your will to give that money to when you go. They say it should be no more than what? 10,000. It should not be 11. It shouldn't be all 30,000 goes to this student of mine or this friend of mine or the one who know. That 20,000 at least should remain for those who are actual heirs to you, people that will or inherit from you. Tayyib. That's in brief. He says, rahimahullah ta'ala, ولكن يؤخذ من حديث الخثعمية التي قالت للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم إن ابني أدركته, or he says إن أبي أدركته فريضة الحج ولم يحج أفيجزي عنه أن أحج عنه فقال له النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أرأيت لو كان على أبيك دين فقضيتيه أكان ذلك ينفعه؟ قالت نعم. قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم فدين الله أحق أن يقضى. يفهم من هذا الحديث وجوب حج الولد عن أبيه وإن لم يوصي بأن يحج عنه، وبأن ذلك الحج تكون نفقته من رأس التركة لا من الثلث، حيث وإخراج الدين لا يحتاج إلى وصية مهما ثبت لدى الميت، كما أن الدين يكون من رأس التركة لا من الثلث، والنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم قد جعل الحج من الدين. Listen carefully now. The Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he says, however, even though this is what the ulama say in these madhabs, he says, however, the hadith of the woman who was the Khath'amiyah, this Khath'am woman, meaning her lineage, tribe, and clan, this woman, she came to the Prophet ﷺ, she said that my father had to make Hajj, and he didn't make Hajj. Adrakathu faridatul Hajj, meaning he had the ability to do it, so on and so forth, but he didn't do it. Should I make Hajj on his behalf? Should I make Hajj on his behalf? There's a woman asking this question now. The Prophet ﷺ, he said to her, what if your father had a debt? Would you pay off that debt? And would that help him out in his grave? The woman, she said, yes. The Prophet ﷺ says, then Allah's debt has the greater or greatest right to be paid off or repaid. Allah's debt is stronger and greater. Take care of the debt of Allah, meaning make the what? The Hajj. In this hadith, as a FYI, it shows us the validity of qiyas. The validity of making a systematic, scientific analogy. This is the case, and the same rules and principles apply to another case. So therefore, take the template and the same ruling applies. Wouldn't you do this if such and such? Yeah, I would do that. Then such and such also what? Applies. Qiyas in al-Islam. He says here, now obviously a qiyas, like anything else, that's not from the Kitab and Sunnah directly, has rules to it. And it can't just be used and applied all of the time. Qiyas, 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 qiyas. That is extremism. Alright, some madhabs, they went extreme in using qiyas. And other madhabs, they may went extreme in denying it or rejecting it. It's a balance. It's always a balance. He says, so this hadith, we understand from it the obligation of performing Hajj, the child making Hajj on behalf of one's parents, even if they don't put it in their will. Even if it's not in their wasiyah. The Prophet, he never said, did he write about it? Did he put it in his beseechment? He's never said that. He says what? Pay it back. He says here, and that the Hajj and the expenses of the Hajj should be from, he says, Ra's al-Tarika, the capital sums of the estate, and not from a third. Meaning, when you die, the tarika, the wealth that's left behind, there are different things to do with that wealth, as we said before, and the famous acronym, Tadum, Ta, Dal, Waw, and Mim. First and foremost is a tajheez, preparation of the body. How much does it cost to wash the body, to shroud the body, to bury the body? And then we have Dal, Dain, a debt. He owed $50 here, $500 there, $1,000 there. And then after the debt is the wasiyah, is the actual will. I leave 1/10 of my wealth for such and such. I leave 1/3 for such and such. After the will is what? Last but not least, wasiyah is the mirath, is actual inheritance. It's $27,000 left. He has 2 wives. He has 3 children. He has a half brother. He has a grandfather alive. Who gets what? A fourth, a second, a half. You understand this? So he says here that this, we understand from this hadith, that the wealth of the Hajj is to be taken directly from the money and not from the third for the will. And there's a huge difference between the two. Because what if all of the money is what? Swallowed and consumed. What if it's not enough? It's not enough. He didn't have that much money. The Hajj expenses is not enough for a third of the wealth. If he only had, let's say, for example, $9,000 left. $9,000 that he died with. Tayyib? There is no money for his will now. The $9,000 that's going to take to make Hajj is what? Swallows everything up. Everybody understands? There's a huge difference between the two. Instead of saying these things are dispersed and given out, then look, see what's left. For him now, we got this. The Shaykh Rahimahullah Ta'ala, he then says, and is based off of this hadith, it goes to show that it doesn't need a will, it needs no wasiyah. Tayyib, and that the dain is to be taken from the top, the beginning of the actual what? Actual wealth. And the Prophet ﷺ, he made Hajj a what? A dain, a debt. He declared Hajj to be a debt. So this is very important. And obviously the specific details and the ins and the outs of the Hajj are taken from the other classes in which we explain in detail. This goes to show you the importance of having a proper fiqh. Hajj is fastly approaching upon us. Many brothers will go and sisters will go. And some brothers and sisters may not go. But it's always beneficial to learn more and to enlighten your mind and expand your mind, with regards to the rulings and the wisdoms of Al-Hajj. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala surely knows best. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen.